Ladies and gentlemen, fellas, welcome back. Hey, today we're getting really close. Less than 3 weeks away from the NFL season kicking off, and we are talking about 5 running backs, 5, count them, my motherfucking fingers, 5 running backs that we are seriously avoiding in drafts this year, or at least that I am. And we're going to start it off by triggering everybody. And it's based on ADP. Keep that straight. Keep that on your head top. Average draft position. If these guys fall by 5 spots at the running back position, well then yeah, sure, take them. If they fall a half a round to a round or two, then sure, take them. That's where value starts to come in. But at their current ADPs, they lack any value. And a couple of these guys, if not all of them, are going to trigger you in the comment section. I already know that because they are all great real life running backs. I think they're all great players. I don't hate them. I hate their ADPs. The first one is Derrick Henry. Yes, he goes for 2,000 yards and 17 touchdowns last year. He's going off the board as the running back 3. He's my running back 6. But if he's going off the board as running back 3, where did he finish last year with that historic over 2,000 yard season? 17 touchdowns. Well, he finished as the running back 3. Why? Because he's not involved in the passing game in this offense. I think he could be fine in the passing game. They just don't use him there. He has never had a 20 reception season in the NFL, and because of that, he does have downside because now he plays with what looks to project as a bottom 5, if not bottom 3 defense in the NFL. They bring in Julio Jones because they probably know their defense is bad and they're in a window to win now. So if they're going to have to pass and play from behind more, might as well upgrade from Corey Davis to Julio Jones. And this will just lead to less rushing attempts for Derrick Henry. So to have the similar production as last year and to finish as a number 3 running back, you're going to need close to 2,000 yards and 15 plus touchdowns. That's being naive to bank on that yet again without the passing game work and now a worse situation. So I do think if Henry falls to running back 6, that's fine. It bakes in the floor that maybe he finishes running back 9, but he's not that bad of a value for you as compared to you taking him in the top 3 backs. In the first round, you want to limit your risks as much as possible. And Derrick Henry as the 3rd pick off the board, in my opinion, is a risk. The second player here is Nick Chubb, who is going off the board as running back 7. I'm confused by that. He's my running back 14, but even 7, I mean, that's massively high. And this is in standard formats. I mean, if this is non-PPR, maybe, but this is in half-point PPR. So I'm concerned and confused by that because last year, Kareem Hunt, it was his first full season because the first year with Hunt, he was suspended half the year. First full season with Kareem Hunt. Their 3rd down back. They're pretty clear, fantastic former Chief pass-catching back. He only averaged 1.5 targets per game. 18 targets in 12 games for Nick Chubb. That's not going to get it done when 80% of the running backs in the top 12 over the last 7 years have averaged at least 2.6 targets per game. In today's fantasy football, you need pass-catching running backs. And look, I get all the stuff in the comments that I've seen on TikTok. Follow me over there if you're not already. We're going pretty quickly. But all the stuff in the comment section is just, oh, but Nick Chubb in 12 games finished as the running back 7 last year. Yes, that's because he was producing at an unsustainable rate in the red zone. He had 12 total touchdowns on just 39 red zone rushing attempts. That was by far and away the highest efficiency in the NFL over the last 5 years. You think that that's going to sustain? If he would have played those other 4 games, I actually counter with the opposite. He would not have continued to dominate. If anything, regression is going to eventually set in, and it's going to set in this year. I don't expect him to have back-to-back the most efficient seasons. I get it. The offensive line is great, but injuries happen, regressions happen, and oh yeah, defenses start to figure out the system that has been dominating the NFL the last few years for Tennessee and for Baltimore, and for most recently Cleveland and Minnesota. The play-action 2 tight end passing scheme. Yes, that is what's happening in the NFL, and I assume in off seasons the defenses are targeting to stop that. So I love Nick Chubb. I think that he's arguably one of the top 2, if not the most talented pure runner on the ground. I'm so happy that he got a new contract. This is not anything against him. It's just against the fact that he's going in the top 10 running backs at running back 7 right now. It's a clear avoid for me in drafts. As we continue to go, let me know in the comment section right now, take a second of your time, who is one running back that you personally are seriously avoiding? And if you have the time, let me know why. The 3rd running back we'll talk about is going as a top 15 running back. Running back 15 off the board. He's my running back 22 right now, and that is J.K. Dobbins. Again, an amazing talent out of Ohio State. I thought he was the best running back coming out in the draft last year. Yes, ahead of DeAndre Swift, ahead of Jonathan Taylor slightly. So I love this kid's talent. The problem is he's not just in a backfield with one other rusher. No, he's in a 3-headed backfield committee. Why? Because Lamar Jackson has set a record for over 2,200 yards and 59 red zone rushing attempts the last 2 years on the ground. And then Gus Edwards, they just signed to a $10 million contract extension, making him a top 20 paid running back. And that is significantly more than the rookie contract of J.K. Dobbins. And Gus Edwards isn't just a pushover. They wouldn't give him that money if he was. He continues to improve every year in the NFL and continues to take more work from this backfield in each of his first 3 years. He's one of 2 running backs ever to average 700 yards and average 5 yards per carry in each of his first 3 years, ever in the entire history of the NFL, he's one of two, and he continues to trim down. He came into camp 10 pounds lighter last year. This year, he's now another 5 pounds leaner. He is a dynamic running back. And J.K. Dobbins in this offense, it's just a question mark of will he catch passes, because Lamar doesn't check down the running backs because he can just run on his own. That's his better weapon. He'd rather pick up 10 to 15 yards on his own than check it down for maybe 6 or 7 yards and hope for more. And Dobbins was the #1 running back in efficiency last year, so I'm not mistaken that, but it would be naive to project him as the #1 running back in that metric again. I mean, naturally that stuff regresses. 2 years ago, Austin Eckler was the #1 running back, and then he regresses a decent amount down to like the number 12 running back. So that's going to factor in that you're not going to have as much chunk plays and overall success on the ground, especially when this offensive line, although still looks solid, has lost some pieces in a cohesiveness. So for me personally, J.K. Dobbins at this point, and you factor in that the passing game, once they're all healthy with Rashad Bateman now there, and Sammy Watkins has been added, a massive upgrade to Willie Snead. Marquise Brown can play his real role on the outside. I know they're all banged up as of this recording, but once that is all situated, they're going to have the most efficient passing game that they've had and best players on this offense that they've had on paper in any of Lamar Jackson's seasons so far. We now get into number 4, and if you're still here with me, I appreciate you a ton. So please do take a second of your time and just hit the like button if you're still here. We do have a Fantasy Football 2021 draft guide, my top 200, my tiers. We have videos on some of those tiers, but they update every day. So check it all out. My rankings, a lot of other stuff is in there. It's about 500 hours of work that I put in to create it and also continue to maintain it as I update it every day for any news that comes out and performances in preseason, anything that's actually substantial. Check that out. Limited time offer for free down below. The number 4 running back is Josh Jacobs. He goes off the board right now as running back 17. He's my running back 25. Look, Josh Jacobs last year wasn't even that good. He finished outside the top 50 in running back efficiency, and that was behind one of the top 5 offensive lines in the NFL. Now that offensive line has lost 4 players since last year. They traded away 2. They let 2 walk in free agency. So it's an even worse situation for Jacobs, who was already losing work to Devontae Booker at the end of last season, and now they've upgraded Devontae Booker to Kenyon Drake. Kenyon Drake making top 15 running back money in the NFL, almost double what Josh Jacobs is still making on his rookie contract. And they brought him in because, I mean, Gruden's a crazy person. I don't know why you spend that much money in general. He's basically the coach but GM of this team, telling Mayock everything to do. But they brought him in because he's a good pass-catching running back. And Jalen Hurts is out for an extended period of time. So he's going to be massively involved, especially when the money talks, you follow the money. He's had 50 receptions or more in 2 out of his last 3 seasons. Josh Jacobs, on the other hand, I mean, he's been a fine pass-catching running back. It's something that's in his cards, but we've never really seen it. He had 45 targets 2 years ago. That's a career high so far. But now it's Kenyon Drake's backfield. So a 2-down running back in Josh Jacobs, who's not going to see all that many targets, if any at all in this offense, might only see 15 to 20 receptions, just can't be a top 20 running back personally for me. He would have to far exceed expectations on the ground rushing, and I'm not going to project him for 12 to 14 rushing touchdowns. That would be ignorant and improper. And my 5th and final running back, and I'm having to put an edit in here. As you can see, I got a haircut since first recording this, but the 5th and final running back for me is going to be Michael Carter, the rookie, yes, out of North Carolina. Shout out UNC Tar Heels. And I really enjoyed drafting Michael Carter as a 10th round pick in April, and then an 8th and a 9th round pick in May and parts of June while this hype was building on him. Oh, the camp reports out of New York, the biggest media outlet that made Elijah Moore seem like he's the greatest of all time out there, right? The fever for the rookies in the summer in New York is just through the roof. But the reports were in OTAs in camp that, okay, Michael Carter is running with the ones right now, and he is the 1A in this backfield. Well, we get the preseason game, week 1 of the preseason, and you got to actually put up or shut up, right? You actually have to see this in action, not just with the eyes of all these people in New York who got nothing better to do after being locked up for a fucking year and a half in the biggest city in the world. They see some people running around that actually look fast and young, and they're jumping up and down for joy. But in the first preseason game, Tevin Coleman doesn't play for a personal matter, and Michael Carter still only plays 40.9% of the snaps with the first team offense. There's no Kevin Coleman, right? The guy who's supposed to be the other 1B in this backfield. It's Ty Johnson. It's LaMichael Pirine, a rookie from last year, who are getting all the usage. And he sees only 41% of the snaps and no passing down usage. He did not see any snaps on 3rd down, which is supposed to be his calling card out of UNC, which he's a solid pass-catching back. He never really did it a ton because he played with Javonte Williams, only had like 25 receptions his final year of college, which, don't get me wrong, is good for college, but if you talk about a guy who is an elite pass catcher, you're expecting, somewhere around 30 to 35, especially in an offense like UNC's. Okay, so that's week 1 of the preseason. That's not great, right? That's not great at all. I mean, this is a guy who's having maybe a third the snaps and not getting much passing down usage. But now we get week 2. And in week 2, Tevin Coleman is back, so we can maybe see a truer sample of what's going to happen. Michael Carter in week 2 sees 0 snaps with the first team offense. But Sal, I watched the game where I saw the stat log. He was heavily involved. He had 10 carries. He led the backfield. No, Michael Carter's 10 carries against the Packers in week 2 of the preseason came after the starters left, which is an even worse sign for him. They left him in the game in the second half. Late in the second half, they left him in the game. You don't leave guys in the game. I mean, what does the preseason show us? Guys like Devontae Adams, guys like Aaron Rodgers, they don't play in the preseason because they're way too valuable to a team, let alone putting guys in the fourth quarter. Michael Carter was in the game in the fourth quarter. He did not see a target for a pass catching back, did not see a target until the fourth quarter of this game when the third string offense was in. And to add insult to injury, he only caught that ball for -1 yards. That basically sums up everything here. He has run behind Tevin Coleman and Ty Johnson the first 2 weeks of preseason. He's in line with LaMichael Pirine as who's going to be the RB3 on this team. It's pretty clear. You can no longer be drafting Michael Carter in the 8th and 9th round of the 12-team drafts. I don't want him in the 10th round. He went from being my running back 28 before the preseason started to seeing him only play 41% of the snaps and no passing down usage, drops to my running back 32. So those are 5 running backs that I personally, Sal Vetri, am seriously avoiding this year in fantasy football drafts and hoping that my league mates, my foolish, naive league mates, misinformed league mates, hopefully I feel like some of you, Kyle, whoever might be watching this video, but for the most part, allow those league mates to draft these guys instead at their current ADPs. Again, if they fall, go ahead and take them. This is not a I hate them for sure no matter where you can get them. No. These players are all quality players in the NFL. They just each have their price tags. And currently, all these guys are going massively, massively overpaid for in drafts. We will continue to have more videos on this channel all the way up until the season and throughout the season until the Super Bowl. So check out, hit the subscribe button, notification bell, check them out in the Fantasy Football 2021 playlist down below. And check out that Supreme Draft Guide. The draft kit is for a limited time offer free as an add-on bonus, a way to get it. Link down below with those tiers, rankings, and a bunch of stuff to smack around your competition and dominate your drafts. If you made it all the way through the video, let me know in the comment section who is a one running back that you personally are seriously avoiding in this year's fantasy football drafts. Thank you for tuning in, and I'll see you all in the next one.